Hi, this video is with my Sage Kayli, and I'm playing Telekinetics. I was just replying to a comment, a YouTube comment, the other day on an old Sage video, and had a quick watch of it, and thought I'd play Telekinetics again, so I did last night. I think this was my second Warzone. I had one arena before this, so I get a few things wrong in this one, the same as my last Hatred video. But again, I'll try and point out my mistakes when I make them if I spot them. So our team was really far back here at the beginning. The other team just kind of went in there and capped, and we didn't do anything about it. I decided not to charge in there because I'd probably die as a Sage. So we're just kind of fighting pretty far back, having to recover from or play from behind from the very beginning. So this was a mistake here. I went for the Mind Crush before the Telekinetic Gust. I think I've got the right name there. The ability I have keybound to 4 anyway, because that increases the cast time, or reduces the cast time of Mind Crush, so you need to make sure that you use Telekinetic Gust first. I think I do this quite a few times during the Warzone. I get it the wrong way around, but there's actually an animation you can tell if you look closely at your Sage's left hand. They have this kind of bubble around it, which you can probably see right now. So you know you have the shortened cast time on Mind Crush. So we'd managed to push the other team back a tiny bit here, but there are only actually 3 of us here. They could have easily pushed up if they wanted to, which they did here. So this power tech coming after the Sage. So just helping the Sage out a bit with some heals. When you're playing a ranged class and you've got a melee on the other team coming after the other ranged, don't stand right next to the other ranged person on your team, because that makes it easy for them, especially if they're a power tech. They can use their AoE stun and stuff. Whereas if they have to switch targets, if one of the Sages bubbles or something, then they have to travel between the 2 ranged players. So it's something I often see light snipers sitting next to each other, and that's not really a good idea. In general, you want to kind of space yourselves out a bit. So you notice there it helped out the other Sage with a pull, which actually is less effective now because power techs had a leap, and I'd actually forgotten that, but still. Throwing out the odd bubble and heal like I do in this match is useful. So we'd got east at this point, but the other team had all rotated over, apart from this guy, to get it back, which meant that we could capture south. Generally, my kind of general rule of thumb is that once you have a turret, go and defend it. But with Novare Coast, it's a tiny bit different in that it's so much easier to hold south than it is to hold the opposing team's natural turret. So east if you're Empire and west if you're Republic. So notice that scoundrel or operative going in stealth, so threw down the Forcequake just to pop him out. And I had to readjust my positioning a bit so that he was within my line of sight, because those barriers were in the way. And again, I was going for the Mind Crush before having the buff from Telekinetic Gust. Now, if the spec hasn't changed with 4.0, when you're using Turbulence, you get an auto crit if you have Weakened Mind on your target. So you need to make sure you don't use Force Potency with Turbulence, because that's a waste, because it's an auto crit, and it would still take a charge from your oh, I've forgotten the name, but I'll put it up on screen. Force Potency, that was it. So you want to use Turbulence and then use your Force Potency on the Telekinetic Wave. I spent quite a bit of time before this video looking up the names for all the different abilities for this spec, because, I mean, I struggle with ability names in general, but all of the names for this spec begin with Telekinetic something, so I always managed to mix them up. So you'll notice in this video I used Forcequake quite a bit. But I was mainly just using it to interrupt people from capping, not because of the damage, because it had a change a while back, which I think I mentioned in my last Telekinetics video, whenever that was. You see a lot of new Sage and Sorcerer players just spamming the Forcequake or Lightning Storm for the damage, but you're better off, especially with Telekinetics, just getting your nice big Telekinetic waves off with your Force Potency. Does a lot of damage. So there's a shadow here just kind of hanging back because he was low. I'm not sure if we had any healers in this one, but I just bubbled him, threw out some heals. I could have been slightly better with my positioning here so that I didn't get interrupted by the PT leaping to me. I could have stood a bit further back, but yeah. He was kind of overextended here, there were three of us. I noticed that they were capping, so instead of carrying on fighting him, ran in there and interrupted. It's always kind of risky on a stage to overextend like this, but I wanted to stop him capping. One thing I really need to mention in this video is the heal. I have no idea what the heal's called, I'll put it up on the screen again. The self heal, which I had bound to see, hitting like 15-16k fairly consistently, just ridiculous. Like, it's a massive heal. I don't remember it hitting that hard before, so I don't know if it's been changed, but it's been really useful. So we're a man down at this point. I think we've been a man down for a while, but the other team had taken back south, and again we were really pushed up. We weren't able to contest the turret at all. Like, we couldn't sneak any caps because we were just standing miles away from the turret, so we needed to push forward a bit, which is why I was standing up here, even though I could have been standing slightly further away to attack people. Making sure to go for their healer here, who I probably should have marked. So that was this Sage that I was targeting. Just killing off the PT before going to cap the turret. I mentioned this a lot, but when you're capping in the varicose, don't stand right next to the button, because it makes it harder for other people to hit it. You can stand actually quite far out in the varicose and still cap it. There's a kind of semicircle thing on the ground if you have a look. So I was just deciding there whether to go over to west or not. So just had a quick look at the numbers going over to south, and had a look to see if the guy over here at west was winning the 1v1, and I couldn't really tell, so I thought I'd go and help him out. I think he might have been using Ignore or something, or whatever the Guardian equivalent of that ability is, because when I looked over, he was at like 50% health, and then as soon as I arrived, the Guardian was kind of dead. So I could have thrown out some heals if I'd noticed how low he was. But it was no trouble finishing off that PT. Then here again, noticed the PT on my team was low, so I threw a bubble on him, threw out some heals, and then pulled him away from the power tech on the other team. So west was capped, so there was no need to go and help, just needed to get back to mid, because we had, like, what was it, 5 people over at west, when there'd only been like 2 guys from the other team there. Again, the same shadow, had managed to escape but didn't have any health and hadn't managed to get out of combat. Once he had got back out of combat, I switched over to the gunslinger, who I decided wasn't worth saving. So I switched over to damage mode. So I noticed someone was capping, so instead of using the force wave, just threw down the force quake to see who exactly was inside the bunker, or how many people. Then move forward a tiny bit so I could actually target the guy that was capping. So that was a 16.6k crit from that heal. Not that I really needed it there, but it's pretty big. Again, just throwing down the force quake to stop them from capping. The other team only had, was it, 8% left, so we just needed to kind of stall them at this point and make sure they didn't cap that last bit. Throwing out the odd bubble and heal for the people that are about to die. The off healing from Sage is so good. Probably a bit too strong, to be honest, but... And that was the end of the game. So nothing too spectacular, but it was nice to be back playing Telekinetics. It's a Really nice fun spec, and I love the animations. So if you enjoyed this one, give it a like, and subscribe if you want to get notifications whenever I upload a new video. And as always, thanks for watching.